Hello, beautiful souls, and thank you so much for tuning in today. My name is Luca, and I am Astar. So, in this video, I have been guided to talk about my spiritual beliefs. So, before I start talking about my spiritual beliefs, I would like to clarify something. I do not claim to have the ultimate truth of what the universe is. Because the ultimate truth of what the universe is lies outside of creation. So we, as human beings, are in creation. So we, as perspectives, one of the infinite perspectives of creation, can never have the ultimate answer to the undefinable truth. Because again, the undefinable truth lies outside of creation. So having said that, what I am sharing in this video is my unique truth, which does not have to be the same as your truth or as anyone else's truth. What I am doing is simply sharing my unique perspective. And that's all. Alright, so having said that, I was guided to do something very unique, and I have no idea where this is going, but I was asked to explain it like this, and so yes, let's see how this is unfolding. I was guided to talk about my spiritual beliefs visually, so I'm going to be writing. So, the way I understand it and the way my guides are teaching me is that before the universe has been created, there is almost like this blank page, just like we see here right now. There is this blank state. So it's the potential for everything, because I can draw anything on this page, yet there is nothing on this page yet. So in the Egyptian tradition, in the religion of Neteranism, this is called the Chaos Ocean of Nun, which is the potential for everything, but it is not yet created. And we can call this the Great Void, or we can call this the infinite womb of the omniverse, or we can call this the Great Night, or the Chaos Ocean, or the Primordial Chaos. It is the state before creation that is not yet created. However, it's the infinite potential of everything. Because as soon as I start to draw a point on this page, then creation can start to unfold. And this point, the very first point that I have written on this page, this is oneness. And this is what many people might call source, or God, or the universe. It is oneness, but it is still not yet created. Yes, oneness exists as one, but if there is only one, then one cannot see anything. One is everything. One is the entirety and the totality of what is. But one cannot see, one cannot know, because one is beingness. One is knowingness. One cannot perceive anything that is outside of itself. And that's why for oneness to truly exist as we know it, there needs to be a circle around it. And this is actually the eye of consciousness, because this is the infinite center, the atom of source at the center. And what is around it is the divine feminine energy. So we could perceive this as the core of the atom, which is the divine masculine energy. And then there is an electron which is moving around anti-clockwise around the atom of the body. And that is the divine feminine energy and the divine masculine energy. So only when there is not only one, but also two, there can be duality, there can be an experience, there can be the created cosmos. But before it is in creation, there needs to be a third point, which is the child of it. So it's the union between the feminine and the masculine, which then leads to the child, which is the third point. And creation, as we know it, can only exist as three. Because again, when there is one, there is only one. That's the infinite oneness, the infinite unity, infinite love. Then when there is the circle outside it, then it can be existing in space. So again, this is the core of the atom, which is infinite contraction, and this is the cosmos around it, or the delineator around it. But this is infinite expansion. So the core is infinite contraction, and that which is around it is infinite expansion. And in the Egyptian tradition, we call the point Atum. And we can also call it Atma. This is in the Indian tradition, or Paramatma. And the circle around it is Nun, which is the great white, which is the infinite expansion. So creation is the middle point between infinite expansion and infinite contraction. And that point in itself is the third point. So we are almost as the star in the middle. So we as stars, we are the center of the universe. Because this symbol, the point with a circle around it, is the symbol of the sun, the alchemical symbol of the sun. But it is also the symbol of Aten, which is the sun disk. Many know the sun disk of Aten that is reaching with its rays, and they're holding an ankh in their hands. And this ankh is the star. This ankh is basically ourselves. So source, which is here at the center, is basically extending its rays, it's shining its rays. And in the end there is a star. But this star is the same as the starting point. So it starts from here, but it basically goes back to here. So all these rays, they are infinite perspectives of this one, but inherently they are one. They are still the same. They are coming from the same source. So we cannot really say that we as human beings, we as stars, are the source. The source is our essence, because the center of this star is the same center as this star. It is not different. It is the same center. But we as stars are simply an extension of the sun, one perspective of the sun. But at our core, we are the same. So we cannot say that this small perspective is the whole source. But at the core of this perspective, it's the source. But again, there are infinite perspectives of one. And we as a star are this unique perspective. So that's why whenever there is a perspective of truth, a perspective of oneness, that's the ultimate truth. Because at the core of it lies source. And this is the power of being a star being. And when we are aware that we are a star, then we are the center of the universe. Then the entire universe is revolving around us. And this is actually true, whether we are aware of this or not. We are the center of the universe. And every star is the center of the universe to itself. Because the center is always the center, no matter where we are. And what is around it is infinite expansion, which infinitely goes out in all directions. So that's why whenever there is center, it is the center. And again, this center is non-different than this center. So we as children of Source, we as the third point, are the spirit of Source crystallized in form. And this is what it means to be a star. And this star is actually the shape of human beings, because we have a head and we have 2 arms and 2 legs. Sorry for drawing it like this, but that's what it is basically. There are the 4 elements, and the 5th element, which is spirit. So the 4 elements, they allow us to be in creation. And the 5th element is spirit, which lies at the center. So 4, the number 4 is connected to matter. It's connected to that set structure. And the 5th is the spirit in the center. And this is what we are as star beings. Star beings as such that yes, we are a star. We are an extension of Source. But we are also stars as shape, like literal stars. Because we are the 4 elements plus the 5th, which is spirit. And this spirit animates everything that is our life. So the 4 elements are the ingredients that we need for creation. But the 5th element, which is spirit, is that which unites everything. And that which, binds everything together. And we as stars, we have the perspective of everything that is in creation. Because if we see ourselves as a star in the center of 2 pyramids, like this, when our eyes are open, we are seeing the realm of light. And that's everything that is visible, with the sun creating the reality. So whenever our 2 eyes are open, we see everything that is in creation. And that's the realm that is visible. The physical realm. And this is why the masculine energy is represented by an upward facing triangle. This is the reality we perceive with 2 eyes when our eyes are open. But as soon as we close our eyes, we connect with the invisible realm, where we move beyond duality. Because with our eyes open, there is duality. There is light and darkness. There is masculine and feminine. There is positive and there is negative. And that's why we have 2 eyes. But as soon as we close our eyes, we see the universe with a single-eyed vision. And we connect with that realm of potentiality, where things are not yet defined, but they exist as potential. It is almost like a wave that is not yet form. Because with our eyes open, everything has form. Everything is defined. Everything is crystallized, just like a crystal. We see the crystal form with 2 eyes, and that's the vision of duality. Whereas when we close our eyes with closed-eyed vision, then we connect to the realm of spirit, which is the invisible realm. And this is not yet created, so I would say uncreated state. And duality, everything that's visible, that is the effect. So the effect that has a spiritual cause, and the realm that is not yet created is the realm of cause. And we can connect to that spirit realm every time we close our eyes. And we can actually see these potential timelines. We can see spirit which is not yet in form, but we cannot see it with two eyes. We can only see it with one eye, and that is actually our single vision. And it is very important to know that this is actually our first vision, because this is the all-seeing eye of Source. This is the one eye of oneness, which then when we open our eyes is the two eyes of duality. So that's why for creation to be in form there needs to be duality. But actually we are that point in the middle that are projecting this duality. So it is almost like we are the projector. When we are in the movies, for example, we are the beamer. And the reality that we are perceiving, everything that's happening on the screen, that is the divine feminine. That is like the atom that is moving around our experience. So we are at the center. Everything that's being projected out of the center that we are, that is duality. That is what we perceive with open eyes. But we are the sun. We are the projector. Everything comes from the center. So it doesn't matter if there is just one point and a small circle, which is our inner environment, or if there is a bigger circle which would be like a higher dimension or an even higher dimension or another dimension. Doesn't matter how much expansion there is. In fact, we've seen there is infinite expansion. A center is still the center. And the circle around the dot is still the circle around the dot. Doesn't matter how far out we expand or how far we go in. The center is always the center. And this is basically, what it means to be a star being. When we understand that we are the sun, that we having this experience in duality, this movie that we are perceiving, is simply one perspective of the sun. But actually, at our core, we are the sun. We are simply an extension of Source Creator. At our core, we are Source Creator. And it is very interesting to see if we draw this differently. If we start from the center and we create an egg around it, this is the cosmic egg, then there are two forces, the positive and the negative. Positive, negative. The visible and the invisible. The male and the female. The light that is shining and that which is receiving, so it's the vessel. And we exist between these two polarities, where it's the masculine energy and the divine feminine energy. And this is the reason why the symbol of masculine is this, the upward facing triangle, and the symbol of the feminine is the downward facing triangle. And the reason this is like this is because the divine feminine energy starts from below. This is the underworld, the collective unconscious that we tap into when we close our eyes. So the invisible realm is the realm we enter when we close our eyes in this present moment. Because remember, there is nothing else than presence. There is nothing else than this point in the middle. And when we from this point close our eyes, then we are in the realm of the underworld, which is that which comes from under. Sorry, my camera cut out at this point. But what I was going to say is that from the underworld, the feminine energy is emerging. And it is emerging like this. So that's why there is this outpouring of energy that starts at the bottom and it is moving upward. And that's why in our physical realm, whenever there is a flower, it is sprouting like this. Two energies, or like the energy that comes from the earth, that is being split into two and it's unfolding like a flower. And this is actually the spiral of creation, because everything that is in creation evolves around the spiral. And it is this starting point from the bottom, and from here it is unfolding and unfolding and unfolding. And this is the spiral of creation. And this spiral exists in the invisible realm, in the realm of spirit. And this realm, again, it's the realm of cause. The spiritual cause behind the effect. And we can connect to the causal realm every time we close our eyes. So this is not separate from us. And that's why when we are tuning into the inner realm in meditation, while closing our eyes and putting our awareness to that center, not focusing on the outside world, but focusing on the inside world, then we know all of this wisdom. Then we can get to know the wisdom of the spiral of life and of the cosmic energies. Then we know the truth of the cosmos, because again we are not separate from it. This is the source that creates from the point of creation along the spiral, but this all exists in the invisible spiritual realm. And the effect that is creation, when there is a tree, for example, or we as human beings, that is one side of the perspective, with two open eyes when we are in duality. But we have all the vision, we have the two-eyed vision, and we have the one-eyed vision. And all of these points are source. So source is the sun that is shining its light, the masculine principle that is radiating the energy. But source is also that point where everything unfolds from, the spiritual cause in the invisible realm that is creating the flowers, that is allowing trees to grow. But source is also the heart of the star, which is our heart, which lies at the center between the two worlds, between the upper world and the lower world. And what connects it all is the axis mundi. This is the world axis. This is, the connection between the higher realms and the lower realms. And this is the cosmic egg. And this is actually the Torus also, where there is an outflow of energy and there is this inflow of energy that is creating this energetic field. And this Torus is actually the shape of nature, because the energies are going in and here the energies are pouring out, and that there is this infinite flow of energy. And everything that is in creation has this shape. An apple, for example, Or a tree, for example, the roots are going down. The roots of a tree lie under the earth, in the realm of the invisible. But the tree trunk is the connecting point between under the earth and the branches of the tree. And this is the same torus of energy. And our heart at the center actually has this shape. If we are looking at our heart from a geometrical perspective, then it has the shape of an octahedron. Because that octahedron has the 4 elements. Now we're looking at it from the top, with the 5th in the center. And if we're looking at it from the sides, then it's like this. The 4 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th in the center. And then the axis mundi, which connects the lower aspect and the higher aspect into one. And these 3 points, that's the Holy Trinity. That's the masculine aspect above, which is the sun, and the feminine aspect below, which is the divine feminine, and the center, which lies at the core, the balance, the unified balance, which is love. And that's why the core is the core of all. Our core, our heart, is the heart of the universe. Our soul is the soul of the cosmos. And then there is no difference between the two. And so if we come back to this realm, if we come back to the visible realm that we see with 2 eyes, and the invisible realm that we see when we close our eyes, the one-eyed vision, then of course there can be other realms that are also in creation. Because we're not only seeing the 3rd dimension, there is also the 5th dimension, or the 7th dimension, or the 12th dimension. It doesn't matter how many dimensions there are. And all of these dimensions are also physical, but not from our point of view. So whenever we are looking at nature, this is the ultimate reality from our point of view. All the other dimensions, they also exist in form, in creation. There are realms where it's physical, like we can see forms and shapes, but it is not like we see the 3rd dimension, like it has a different texture. But when we are looking at these higher dimensions from this viewpoint, then they are part of the invisible. So it is really true that in this present moment, it's all that exists. All the dimensions, all the timelines, they all exist in the present moment. Just from this point of view where we're looking at, they lie in the invisible realm. So the 5th dimension, the 6th and the 7th and the 8th dimension, they all exist in this present moment, even if we can't see them physically. But the reason why we can't see them physically, it's because they lie in the invisible realm. And no matter how many dimensions there are, no matter how many circles I choose to draw, it's still the same shape. It's still the same principle. It's still the feminine energy and the masculine energy and the star at the center, which is who we are. We are creator beings. We are the spirit of source creator crystallized into form. And that is what it means to be a star being. We are stars. We are extensions of source creator. And we are creating this universe on behalf of source creator. Our heart is the center of infinity. It's the center of all time and space. There is only one heart. There is not my heart and your heart. Yes, if we are looking from this perspective, then maybe there is my heart and your heart and their heart. But actually, the heart of everyone is the heart of Source, is the heart of the cosmos. So what matters is where we are looking, like the perspective that we are looking at something is what changes everything. So to rise to a higher perspective, we have to see ourselves as source. We have to see ourselves as an extension of source creator. And when we embody that state of consciousness, then we can see that everything is one. That in fact, every expansion, like the infinite expansion, no matter how far we go outside, no matter how many dimensions, it all comes back to the dot at the center of the circle. The dot which is infinite contraction, and the circle which is infinite expansion. And we, at the center, are the star child that creates this whole experience. So if we as star beings would not exist, then the whole universe would not exist. Then maybe there is the potential for everything in creation, but there is no actual creation. Because whenever there is a point within a circle, that's the I, that's consciousness, that's the presence of beingness, and that's the one I, the all-seeing eye of Source. And yes, for there to be creation as we know it, there needs to be a positive and a negative, the masculine and the feminine. But ultimately, it is all one. Ultimately, it all emerges from one. And this experience of duality also comes from one. And that is what connects us all. So this is only a very tiny fragment of the creation story, or of my spiritual beliefs. I could continue to talk for hours and hours and hours, but I just hope that I could give a little insight on my way of perceiving things, and hopefully to inspire you to find out more about the truth that is oneness, that is love, that is source, that is the center of every heart. So if you have any questions, or if you would like to clarify something, please don't hesitate to contact me. And also, if you have a specific request for another video, I would like to take these requests into consideration. And you can also always reach out to me on my email address if you would like to book a healing session, or if you would like to learn more about channeling or about connecting to the invisible realm. I would be very happy to help you with that. So I really hope you enjoyed this experimental format of this video, and please let me know in the comments how you like this format. And I'm wishing you all my blessings, I'm wishing you all my love, and thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you in the next video.